All right. So that is an easy question. I have spoken about it, and I've instructed other teachers. Carl is the one who is now giving Rainbow Body Yoga empowerments. And it is like in those empowerment session, I've instructed him and other teachers who are giving it to speak about this, speak about rough periods in practice or dark nights, because everybody has them. And it doesn't matter what path one is, if it's this path or some other method one is following, one will have them. And it's unavoidable because, when I was talking about the subconscious mind and becoming aware of it. So when we, like figuratively speaking, if we think of a dark cave and we bring light into that cave, or let's think of a storage room that is, you know, over the years you put stuff in that storage room, and it's all the things, objects are kind of in not in an order, but just a mess, and there's dust on it. And then you go into that storage room and switch the light on, and of course it's dirty and messy there. It's a perfect analogy, what happens when we bring the light of awareness, when we bring awareness to our subconscious mind. We see the junk in there. And another good analogy that I've used is that, if you have a bonfire, you put some blocks of wood together and set it on fire. Most of the time there is like this light smoke coming out of it. But every now and then, if the wood is a little wet, there is thick smoke that is filling the vicinity of the bonfire. So when you're sitting around fire, you get some smoke into your lungs and you start coughing. But it takes a moment, the close space of the bonfire is filled with smoke, and you cough for half a minute, and then the thick smoke disappears. So dark nights are exactly like this. And as long as we keep digging, we will have dark nights. So the way how it works, it's cyclical. So we will have peaceful, easy periods. How to say, the opposite of dark night is bright day. Maybe we should establish that term or something similar. So you have those bright day periods, easy periods, when you just feel good and natural. And then, you might feel intoxicated, a little bit blissful, and that's when that's when you know that the dark night is already coming. So, you have this ecstatic conditions. You might feel over energetic, you might feel very enthusiastic, which is already away from the recognition of basic state. And then you will hit the dark night with the smoke, with the dust, with the junk. And like you said, it feels very challenging. It feels difficult to um, it can get so dark that it can be paralyzing. So I have firsthand experienced very rough dark nights, like experiencing paralyzing fears for 2.5 months. This was like 12 years ago. That was my worst dark night I had. 2.5 months of paralyzing fears every day. And or then it can be something mild, just mild anxiousness, but you still feel it. So it can be, mild or can be very extreme and everything in the middle. Something that is very important is to understand that there is no way to, if you are doing any type of practice, there is no way of avoiding them, and it is inevitable that they come, and then we have to deal with them. Then we have to deal, it's kind of like if we are cleaning the floors or cleaning that storage room. We have to, if we want to make it clean and nice, if we want to get to the natural state, we have to deal the junk and dirt what has accumulated in the subconscious mind. So you can't just push it aside or keep the dust or dirt away. You have to face it. And the most direct and best way, I was talking about demon realms. So there is a lot of analogies used by different tantric masters. And one of my favorites is Machi Glabdron, this female master from about 1,000 years ago from Tibet, who used this analogy that when you have these internal demons come up, whether it's the demon of fear or anxiousness or anything, you surrender to it. You give yourself to it. So if I mentioned that 2.5 months long dark night I had years ago, and so how I would apply that instruction would be that, you have those panic attacks or anxiety attacks, that intense fear, and you just try to relax and give yourself to the fear, give your body for the fear. Maciej Labdron, has volumes written about this, and there are practices where this is done. So you surrender for the suffering. So, and that is not easy to do. It's kind of like saying that, you're coughing your lungs out that smoke, and then you say that just try to breathe in a relaxed, normal way. Well, the analogy is not perfect, but the point is that, when it arises from our subconscious mind and it makes us small and contracted and fearful and anxious and whatever, then exactly is when our yogic practice and yogic skills are put to test. Then we need to kind of take the next step every time this happens and learn to relax more, take refuge, generate bodhicitta, and so on. So that's the way, that's the path, and there's no other way of getting through the samsaric mind except through this cyclical movement that goes from easy periods to dark nights, and the dark night lasts for days or weeks or sometimes even months, but then sooner or later there will be another bright period. You will come out of the dark night, and then you will have the next opening or, advancement in bhumi perfections, in purification. So that's simply how it is. So, it is nothing to be feared. This is simply what the practice is. But often I would hope that teachers would talk about this more, because it is talked about too little. So people, when they don't know about this, they get really scared or confused that, is there something wrong with me? Is there something wrong with the practice? I've actually seen people think that, well, this happened, so there is something wrong with the practice or the teacher or the lineage, which is not the case. It's just, it stirs up the subconscious mind and these things come up. So that's how it is.
So, thank you. So, is it advisable to keep practicing like rainbow body yoga or something, because it's like keeping digging rather than stabilizing? So,
Right. That's another, that's the next logical question. And the answer is that one thing that we learn over time is to self-pace. You know, we learn to listen our body, we learn to detect what is going on, what is enough heat, what is too little, what is too much. So when we have already, in the case of dark nights, when we have already much going on, then, you know, we shouldn't stir it up. We shouldn't, when the Formula One car is already going fast and you have difficulty to control it, it wouldn't make sense to increase the speed, right? So, you know, in Rainbow Body Yoga we use the two-syllable mantra, Vam. And as you might know, that there are peaceful deities and wrathful deities in the practice, in those mantras. A syllable relates to peaceful deities. Vam is for wrathful deities. When you have dark night, and if it's bad enough, don't use Vam, because Vam is the syllable for wrathful deities, so it will dig up more and more as long as you use it. And also, like, if it gets properly bad, then just you know, if we talk about the Rainbow Body Yoga sequence, it has a number of practices. So don't do as much, but keep doing something, because it would be a mistake, you know, if you have a dark night, mild or rough, it would be a mistake to not do anything. You kind of have to, figuratively speaking, keep fighting so that you don't get paralyzed. If you get paralyzed, you can't do anything and the demons will eat you up in an unpleasant way. It's like being eaten by a bear or wolf. So, not that pleasant experience. But so keep uh, chanting Guru mantras, for example. Take any one of those peaceful deities, Kunjang Gyalpo, Dechen Gyalamo, Vajradhara, Saraswati, Vajrasattva especially, Prajna Paramita especially, Avalokiteshvara, meaning money mantra, is also very good, or White Tara. All these, or any of these peaceful deities, are good for, you know, you keep saying the mantra of the peaceful deity, the name of the peaceful deity, and it will help you to sort out. If you can't just surrender and let the demon of fear or panic eat you up, if you're able to do that, it will happen quite fast. You know, if you just are able to surrender to it, you know, it will come over you, it will coming to your heart, it will coming to your head, it will coming to your nadis, and what happens is that the pain, the self in that fear, it evaporates. I am here describing the same practice as I was talking about Vipassana practice earlier this weekend. So I'm just describing that same practice in a different way, right? The same process. But if you can't do that, then Guru mantras, peaceful deity mantras to keep going. Developing bodhicitta, using basic prayers, bodhisattva vows, and little by little, you know, making yourself stronger in the recognition of basic state so that you can then take that thick smoke and little by little integrate these parts of your subconscious mind to your Buddha nature. Yeah, my pleasure. That was a very good question. Thank you for that. Did you have a follow-up?
I had just small thing. I was wondering if I'm taking too much time, so I was.
No, it's okay. Ask.
I've noticed sometimes in this group practice there is a sleepy kind of state during the practice, and it feels like some energetic process is happening, but the state, it goes like almost like half asleep in some states. And by the time when you say, okay, now it's time to lay down, by that time I don't feel to lay down anymore. Like, so I feel like maybe I'm in a contra phase. Like when it's time to lay down, I'm already like awake. But at the time when there is practice, I feel like almost like drifting away.
I see, I see. So the reason why we lie down a lot on these retreats, whether online or live, is because the energetic charges are so strong that we need to pace it. So if we just kept going without taking rest, we wouldn't make to the end of the day or the end of the retreat. We would get too tired. So that's why we do it. But what you're describing is part of the subconscious mind, that drowsiness, that sleepiness, and it has a particular name, substrate mind or substrate consciousness. It's part of subconscious mind. But so what happens is that sooner or later what happens in practice is that this drowsiness starts happening on regular basis. It's kind of like you sit down and you do some practice, or if you're joining a retreat, you start falling asleep, or this drowsiness starts appearing. This lasts for some time. It might be a year or a couple of years, but it will then pass at some point. What is connected to this is it's not like sleepiness, but it's fogginess. So, like this gray fogginess can also happen. This is also because of substrate consciousness, substrate mind. So, even if your aim is to recognize the basic state that doesn't have fogginess, obviously, part of your subconscious mind creates this fogginess. It's not sleepy, but it's how should I describe? It's like this gray fog in the aura, and it is not difficult to deal with that, but it can also be kind of persistent. It can be like a drag, pain in the ass. It can last for months or even few years, but dual visualizations are very good for that. Visualizing diamond body, diamond aura, and that makes it disperse. Loud shouts can also deal with that, shouting hung pets, shouting any mantric syllables, just a couple of ways to deal with that. Yeah. Combing is especially good, combing the aura with mantras.
Oh.
Yeah.
So if sleepiness comes, it's better to do something against it rather than, because it feels also like deep relaxation anyway. So rather than relaxing into it, it's better to uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Wake
sleep.
yourself up.
Mhm.
Stand up, shake your body, tense your muscles, splash cold water on your face. Do something to keep yourself awake because retreats, this is not the best time for sleeping. So sleep after the retreat.
Thank you.
On the other hand, about that sleepiness, what happens is that when I was speaking about, when drowsiness, sleepiness comes about in practice, the way how it affects you in the beginning is that it actually makes you sleepy. Sometimes I see on this retreat as well, some of you are nodding a little bit. And so it actually makes you really drowsy. It makes you kind of fall down into sleep. But over time, what happens is that even if the sleep hormone is secreted, and even if that sleepiness comes, it is just something that happens in the system, and that beacon light stays bright and clear. And at that point, you're mature enough to just let it happen. Yeah. You can even go to, other way of saying it is that you can go together with it without getting.
Yeah. Because sometimes after it, it feels actually like some deep cleansing happened. Like it feels better after it somehow. I guess it depends what kind of sleepiness or whatnot. I don't know. But,
Well, we feel better after a good nap, don't we? But it's a different question if it's a dharmic rest or not.
mm, okay. Mm, mm.
Let's sit a couple of minutes before taking break. We've done quite a bit of silent sitting, and what I had planned for to do before the break was to chant a little bit. So let's chant just may all beings be free, just 1 or 2 minutes to get our bones vibrating a little bit. We need some physical integration. So let's do that. You can join me when I start. May all beings be free. 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 All right, join hands, bowing head. Good. Let's take a break for an hour and a half, for 90 minutes, and continue at 7 p.m. local time. All right, see you later.